everyone, this is Persephone, and today this is going to be an extremely controversial video. I doubt anyone else has made this video before, like ever on the internet, because we're going to address a huge taboo. The fact that many people are going to tell you, your life is your responsibility, your problems are your responsibility, your life is your fault. Well, I'm going to say fuck all that, and it's time we start blaming other people about our problems. Of course, not every problem that we have, but a lot of the problems you are dealing with right now, they are a result of other people being incompetent, and by other people I mean mainly your parents, but could be other people as well, and other people straight up setting you up for failure, so that you feel bad all the time, you feel like a failure all the time, and it's not your fault. And those people, we are going to talk shit about them today, and you're going to see what I'm talking about. First of all, let's say you are a man right now and you're watching me and you're a beta and you hate being a beta. You're not one of those people who are actually born betas and they are okay with it, because I honestly believe that there are people who are born with less testosterone. There are people who were raised and they had like different attachment styles. They were having smaller penises because having a micro penis, it's something that is genetically being passed down. So if this is how you happen to be, that's to an extent understandable. And the men who were like that ever since the very beginning usually message me and thank me and say, you know, thanks for making those videos saying that there's nothing wrong with being a beta and you can embrace it. I feel more like myself. What if you weren't in this category? What if you were the type of guy that you had genetics to be very tall and your parents just fed you crappy food or fed you no food if they were poor and there wasn't enough food on the table every night, and they constantly stress you, which is something that prevents you from growing up properly, or they never took you to a doctor and now you have many health problems, or they never fixed your teeth and now you need braces, and so on. There are many parents who do that, especially Asian parents, that they raise their sons and their daughters to be betas, to not have any kind of social life, to just focus on school until they are 25, and after 25 there comes this huge bitching of why aren't you married and you don't have kids yet. And this person starts feeling like a failure. They start blaming themselves all the time and saying, wow, everyone else is getting married and I'm not married, when your entire life was designed in a way that there's no way you would have been married unless you went to an agency or something. And even then, what most people don't understand is that there are specific skills that you should acquire in every stage of your life. To speak with gaming terms, let's say you get a character and you start playing a game and you skip the tutorial, so instead of leveling up and getting the skills that your character needs, you just level up randomly, you kill people here and there, you gather the artifacts, and one day you're level 60 and you're getting killed all the time because your stats in a specific skill are 0, when you should have been acquiring those at level 15 or at level 20. So if you went through childhood and teenage years having no friends and being a sardine inside and being abused, oh wait, that's still me, we're continuing anyways. If all of those things happen, you're an adult with poor social skills, and it's much harder to get them when you're an adult compared to getting them when you're a kid, when it's the right time. So this sets you up for failure, increases the chances of you being incapable of forming a relationship, and everyone else around you is getting one and you're getting nothing. Or if you're a guy, to speak about looks again, like I said earlier, you end up short, you end up malnourished, you end up a guy who has never done any sports in his life, he has a beer gut, he's repulsive, women avoid him, and he has to start working out because he found out about the red pill at 25, at 30. This is horrible. I see it on myself. When you work out all of your life, I know exactly what I need to do, and it takes me 1/3 of the time compared to a person that has never worked out to get the results that I want. It's extremely hard to start working out as an adult, especially when you have a job and you have problems and so on. So many of your problems right now, there is a chance that you have been set up to fail. And you didn't have the physical skills or the mental skills that other people around you were having. And that's your parents' fault. And I'm not saying you should go back there and have fights with your parents, but personally I feel really good to know that some things are my fault, some things are not my fault. And I'm going to blame my father right now and say that my father has a huge problem with me being autistic even now. There was a time that I was talking to my father when I was a kid, and he said, I always wanted a daughter. And I said, well, great, you have one, right? And he said, well, not like this. And he made this not like this, and he showed in my direction. And I was like, what do you mean not like this? I was very offended. I think I was 6 or 7. And he said, well, I wanted a daughter who's kind of girly, and she wears dresses, and she wears those glitter stuff in her hair, like the glitter hair ornaments, and she's cute, and she's not obsessed with weird shit. And how can you want a daughter like that where your entire family is more autistic than the Rain Man? How is your kid going to end up neurotypical? It can't. You're setting up your kid to be autistic, to have Asperger's. And if you are one of the people that you are like me, and I don't consider having Asperger's or having autism as a problem, if you are one of the people who consider having autism as a serious problem and everyone in your family has autism, then you set up your kid for a very hard life. That's why I'm always saying that I refuse to have kids, and if I ever have kids, they're going to be white or at least white passing, and people call me evil eugenicist and Nazi and so on, because I have seen the problems that HAPA people have. Even I haven't experienced them firsthand, I'm white, but I see that I'm going to set up a kid for a very hard life. Because whether we like it or not, there is huge white worshiping in society, especially in Asian society. So I'm going to set up a kid for a terrible life, and then I'm going to say, how did this happen? I didn't see this happening. I'm not going to do that. And if people call me evil, so be it, I don't care. In a similar sense, would you have a different appearance if your parents took better care of you? Would you be obese if both of your parents weren't obese? Would you have an education if your parents cared for you to get an education? Maybe it's time to give yourself a break and start seeing the things that they were not truly your fault. Another way people may set you up for failure is teaching you wrong things about society. That's a very big thing that happened to me. And pretty much 97% of the things that I knew about life were pure brain embolism. They were complete bullshit. It's like, if a belief is popular, then it's bound to be wrong. I'm not going to try to start shit-talk religions here, but a lot of things that religions say, they don't work in real life. At least from my experience, they don't work. Forgiving and forgetting abusers endangers your life. If you are in Eastern Europe specifically, where the police won't do anything until after you're assaulted, forgiving an abuser is a luxury. Okay, no one is going to help you and you are on your own. So maybe you grew up thinking a bunch of Disney beliefs that you can do anything you put your mind into. That's not true. Many people cannot do things that they want to do. And that's not the same, that's human nature. There are people who say to me, you should be more normal, you should get a real job, I want to do what you do. First of all, I have a real job, that's a different sob story, but not everyone can do what I do. Yet people come to me every day and say, hey, I want to start a YouTube channel. Hey, I want to do what you do. If you don't have naturally the drive, the determination, the hard work, the balls to do what I do, it's going to fail. So many people, they are not raised to be humble, they are not raised to be objective with themselves and say, am I willing to sacrifice this? Am I willing to risk that? And they have wrong beliefs that they set them up for disappointment, for self-hate, that, if I really want it and I visualize it enough, I can do it. No, you can't. Most likely you can't. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't try. If you feel that you have true passion for something and you're confident or you want the money, go ahead and try. But always thinking that if you have never tried something, there is a chance for failure. I have met people who are so spoiled, specifically Americans, that they think that, everything is a walk in the park, and they're going to try to focus like crazy on the one person who succeeded and it's the exception on the rule, and not the millions of people who are the rule. Kim lived in an environment that was pure soul cancer, where people were constantly lying to each other, and they kept staying together, mostly because they were all narcissists and no one else could give them the time of the day. So he had told me, that's what everybody around me was doing, so that's what I thought you would be doing. This is not how statistics work. Just because 3 or 4 people around you, they are retarded and they are mentally sick and they are doing those things, doesn't mean everyone else is doing them. In the similar way, just because 3 or 4 people happen to be millionaires designing an app, that doesn't mean you can design apps and be a millionaire. So if you have been raised with false beliefs, you are also setting yourself up for failure. Or all of those people who are getting married and they are saying, I believe in monogamy, I believe in forever, because my grandmother were together for 50 years and they were happy. First of all, even your grandparents, there is a huge chance one of them was cheating or there was physical abuse. But even if they weren't, I have spoken about hypergamy, and when the internet didn't exist and when social media didn't exist, it wasn't as easy to cheat as it is now. Right now, temptations are everywhere. Also ask yourself why porn that was so hard to access 80 years ago is so mainstream now. What 80 years? I would even say 20 years ago. You had to go out there, you had to buy tapes or magazines or whatever you wanted to buy. I don't even know about the time. And now you can just click a button and have tons of porn. So society is not the same. And if you allow yourselves to believe whatever everyone is serving you, like from fake news to fake people to popular beliefs, because people have an agenda, they want you to be stupid, you're also again setting yourself for failure. And I'm going to also mention women on this one as well, because there are so many women who think that, oh, you know, I can just have a baby after 40 because look at all of the celebrities doing it, or I can just combine career with motherhood, or I can just be whatever I want to be. And then it all comes crashing down because you realize that you're always exhausted, your kids hate you, you don't have a career because you're a woman, people discriminate you. And I'm not saying you shouldn't try for your dreams, quite the opposite. But I believe that if you have real information about something, you have much higher chances of succeeding compared to believing in pipe dreams. You can't manifest pipe dreams. You have to manifest something that is realistic, and it happens bit by bit. So I'm saying that because I'm really fed up with people trying to blame everything on the person. There is this whole self-development philosophy of everything is your fault, your life is your fault, everything is your responsibility, so your recovery is your responsibility. Yeah, your recovery is your responsibility. But if you are raised to have a small penis because you had hormonal disorders, for example, you had very low testosterone and your penis never developed, you can't take testosterone and grow up your penis as an adult. Sure, it's going to make you more masculine, sure, it's going to improve some of the problems, but your penis is what it is. And unfortunately, up to the day that this video is being made, plastic surgery hasn't advanced so much to create big penises that they are fully functioning and they can do everything. So your life got destroyed by your parents not properly caring for you. If there was a time where hormonal treatments were available, okay. So if you had Asperger's and it was never diagnosed, or if you had dyslexia and it was never diagnosed, and you ended up not getting an education, or you ended up being bullied and having PTSD, that's also not your fault. And people say recovery is your responsibility, but what if there is something that you can't get over? There are plenty of things in life that I think that we can't get over, we just live with them. So you end up beating yourself up and saying, why I'm not good enough, why couldn't I get over this, why can't I lose the weight now, why can't I be more social now? And it's not your fault, maybe you're truly set up. And the first thing to undo this damage, if it can be undone, is realizing that you were set up and experiencing grief, experiencing anger, because that's going to motivate you. I know a lot of people that they go sleepwalking in life and they don't know why things are happening. They are in a crisis all the time. They can't even think. And again, I'm going to mention Kim. I know I mentioned him a lot lately, but we have conversations now that I'm going to be very honest, for the past 2 years, there were times that I was so mad at him that I couldn't even talk about those things without getting triggered, or we would end up fighting. But now I understand that he has been set up his entire life because he was Asian. His purpose of existing was to be a mangina and a status symbol because his Korean supremacist tapeworm parents, they needed a son to continue the family because, you know, Kim isn't one of the most common names in Korea. No, it's not. Like, it's like they're the king from some royal dynasty or something. So he was raised to be a mangina. He was raised to be a people pleaser. He was raised to be one of the people that they don't have critical thinking and they don't question. And then all of a sudden, when he became of a marriageable age, everyone started shaming him for not being married. And there was another agenda, and his mother wanted to marry him to some Chinese girl. God knows what kind of mental illnesses she was carrying. And I witnessed that firsthand on him. And I realized that plenty of people are like that, and he would like accuse himself and he would say, if I hadn't done this, if I hadn't done that, if I had cut this person off 10 years earlier. And yeah, some things are of course his fault, some things he could have done them better, but some other things, they're not his fault, because try spending 10 years in a way, 20 years in a way, 30 years, and it becomes extremely hard to change. So if you're watching me right now and nothing goes well in your life, I want you to take some time and think how much of it is truly your fault. And if some things are truly your fault, then yeah, work and change them. But if some things are not your fault, maybe you should give yourself a break, or maybe you should cut off those people even now. It's not too late, that they're bringing you down, because that's what's happening. If your life is constantly failing and the people who are around you, they are not part of the solution, then they are part of the problem. And people say, you're just an artist, black and white thinking. I don't have abuse in my life right now, so my black and white thinking is serving me pretty well. How about your gray thinking? How is that thinking serving you? How is excusing everyone and being the good person, which is a nice name for the psyche, serving you? If it's serving you, then that's totally fine. But I think if you're watching my video, you're not exactly the type of person that being the goody two shoes is your goal in life, right? Thank you for watching.